Wow. So, wow. Well, the message that we have a huge light code blast coming. Well, that light code blast is here. And that will continue for a little while. But this is leading to a huge vibrational shift, like really, really big, a turning point, in fact. Um, and so, just on a physical level, just to know that, of course, our nervous systems may be affected, adrenals, our wombs. Some of us are going through another round of womb clearing, even feeling things like cramps if you're not on your cycle, uh, or simply just a purge, kind of like a gut detox, which interestingly, there's some correlations between, Mother Earth, Gaia, and releasing her energies and feeling that through the female, the feminine. And they talked about that in the other video a little bit more. But also our solar plexus and pineal. I mean, it's just like if it's on your body or in your body, it could be affected. So you guys are familiar, of course, with ascension symptoms. It's a variety pack. That's all there is to say about that. And there are some interesting spaces where you feel a little dreamlike at times, and some of you almost, if you like close your eyes slightly, you're still awake, not quite asleep, but you are connecting with these visuals of beings, or geometries or colors. And so there's a lot of clarity that will come through. And um, that could, feel like it's in waves. But there's a lot that's happening. And this dates back like a little while. I would say like in the fall of last year, we started talking about some of these things, and they're just kind of now making their way here. But the guides are calling it like a big boom, and there is repatterning, recalibration that's happening. And we are coming up upon the solstice, of course. So there is astrology, solar, cosmic waves, our DNA, everything that's supporting this massive, massive shift. So this is a big wave. It will take us into July. And again, it's like a turning point or choice point that is coming forward. So things are going to be different from here on out. And I'm sure that you are already noticing that um, you may be feeling different. You're not who you were before. Um, there may be some, how do I want to frame? I'm being like extra, extra special careful. And you guys know this from like manifesting, but I don't want to like code something into reality. And sometimes, when I share certain information, then that shows up in some loud ways in my space. So I'll just say that, there can be an array of um, interesting energies as we're waiting for the dust to settle. But there's a lot of light that's coming through, with this as well, because there's support in anchoring the light and anchoring the home frequencies. And again, I talked about that in the other video, or I guess we'll call it part one of this one, part one or two. I don't know which order I'll be putting them in yet. Um, but we talked about just that our separation wound being deep, and that we are all connected, and bringing things back to heart center and what is causing some of the illusion. And so I will say too, I talked a little bit about a plant medicine experience just because it was coming up for me and felt relevant. Um, but another one's coming up as well, which is that there was this moment where I went back and connected with the light, like with source as oneness. And I had experienced the oneness before in my initial awakening, my initial awakening that was sort of like a Kundalini awakening, or perhaps it can be perceived as spontaneous. But when I went through the awakening, I felt like we're all connected. It was like that knowing coming alive. We're all connected. I feel unconditional love and forgiveness and compassion. And then it was like, oh, well, this is what is available to you, but like, here is the work now. And so that was like dark night and endless ego deaths and shedding. Just the process that we're still moving through all together. But going back to the plant medicine now, the difference was that came through as a knowing and just a feeling that we're all connected. But this was like, this is what you felt before. And it was so hard for me to experience because the pain of separating from that light that was felt during that experience was so incredibly deep. It was like, what I can liken it to is, so we have, of course, pain. We miss people when they transition here, right? Like we lose somebody on earth and we have grief and sadness. This was like losing everybody that you could ever know at one time. It was just very immense. So I'm sharing all of that because there is this wound that is experienced on earth, that separation wound. And when events like the events that are happening now, it pings, like it hits that separation wound because we are divided and we are not in love and harmony and unity. And so it's a reminder. Having said that, we experience this plane as if it is very, very real. And there's a lot of illusion from that sort of macro sense. Like if you go back to this greater picture and connection, and then you come through here, and let's just say that it's a hologram or parts of it. And so it's not real on one end, but then it's very real because we experience the emotions, we feel all of the things. So that can make it very challenging not to, or yeah, I was going to say just not to like be in our light and heart center, but to attach to our particular like narrative, right? Or storyline. That can be hard. But what we talked about in other video essentially is that we have to kind of master, right? We go through our inner world journey and heal the wounds, so we can break out of that loop, break out of those cycles, and help humanity do the same. So we have to escape the time-coded matrix that was put here by our ancestors. And I'll say, like, that again, that's my perspective based on experiences earlier on in my journey. If I heard that, I'd be like, what are you talking about? Because I was very much in a different space and saw things very differently. Um, yeah. And I'll say I just carried a lot. And so there was a process of transformation, that I went on my journey, and that allows me to see things a little bit differently. But what a message that came forward, that was another thing that like caused me so much pain, was that you would have to share these truths and these messages, these concepts, ideas. You can label them however you want to, but coming through these messages that were coming through in a channeled format back at the time, and that some would betray me or not support me because that defense wound was so strong that they couldn't even just hear the information, even if they didn't align or agree with it, couldn't even hear it. And so and that's very much a metaphor for everything that we're seeing here. We have to be able to listen, to appreciate, to understand, to hear, to be present. And so some would betray me and some would love and support me. And so, here we are a decade and a half later. Okay, so we talked about the energetic update, talked about the separation wound. Now let's go to the contact information that was coming through. So, yes, we will be talking about contact because it is not that we should work with the galactics. It's that we must. It's just part of the divine plan. We are becoming more intergalactic, but it's kind of like we take a step toward that, and then it feels like we take a step back just on a larger scale, with things that are happening, things that are being illuminated, things that are coming to the surface. But there is open contact is coming up again. So not necessarily like a full on disclosure, but you being the disclosure, right? So you guys having your experience. And again, another ask to talk about that. That feels a little bit later on because you were telling me like after the first for some reason. But there was a strong message just to connect. There are messages and information that wants to be received. There was a message about getting to know your star family, and just to like on a larger scale beyond that, a message to we don't have to argue over what doesn't make sense to us. We just have to be it and to breathe it and to embody it. So we have contact on one end, we have this little embodiment message on the other, and then reminders to reclaim our DNA, to reclaim the mind, from the prison grid, and to let the distortions dissolve. So we can essentially hold the light and not take on or swallow all of the pain. Okay, so that involves, again, that's everybody's individual work so that we can really stay strong in our center, really anchor these energies, and really give love, right? We can be compassionate, we can be kind, as long as that's not in a way that sort of overextends our capacity in a way that it takes us off balance, but to support, to work with your gifts, work with your intuition. Again, simply by being present and kind is enough, but not to the extent where you're feeling like you're taking on a rescuer role, because it's not to fix, but it is to support from a different role, a different way, right? Okay, so Andromedan Council, the pillar is yours to hold. The light is yours to live. We are with you always. And then I'm just going to tune in live before we do our activation, just see if there are any other messages that want to come forward. I'm hearing a song like, again, I know that this probably doesn't feel like to some of you guys or many that it's the right time, but there is a reminder coming forward to have fun, to shield yourself from the broadcast waves that are kind of moving through the collective, because there's again a reminder there is a lot of distortion. So it's hard to navigate what is your lens of truth. But you've got this. So it might kind of sway you a little bit, but gently you'll be guided back to center, to heart. Okay. And then just like this is coming through very like blatant, simply stop reacting. Okay, stop reacting to the the mass hysteria is what they're calling it. And so it just, and then I'm seeing fear, the symbol for fear. And they're showing me that there's so much energy, like light energy, golden light energy, that is a gift that you get to give. And it's just spinning so fast. So essentially, like, even though we're on an accelerated part of the path, it is transmuting so much faster. And they're just kind of showing me visually what that looks like. And if we allow it, though, is the key, is what they're saying. If we allow it, because we are fully capable of projecting our fears onto others too. Even though we came here to transform fear to love, we are capable of that. So if we choose, if we allow, we can be a very, very powerful frequency adjuster in all of this. Okay, and then the next part of the message, this is a joint effort. So they want us to connect. So, join communities or gather those around you that can help hold the light. Let's connect. Okay, they're ready to begin this activation. Okay, so they're just showing me just drawing this energy from the heart space. And taking 6 deep conscious breaths. So through the mouth, out of the mouth. Slowing things down. Cleaning up the nervous system. Crystalline DNA. Okay, so holding the visual of light, bringing light around you, bringing light through you, letting light dance with you. Okay? They're like showing me literally to visualize dancing with light for the moment. Joy with your light, bringing that through, dancing with the light. Thinking for a moment of someone that you love. And then asking them to join you in this dance with the light. Now make the circle bigger. You can start with friends. You can start with soul family. You can include family. But now ask who else will join. Invite them in through the heart. You have just helped to shift and expand consciousness. And for that, we thank you. It is that simple. You have the tools. You don't even have to think about it. Breathe it, be it, live it, receive, and give love. Usamanakayatoa, shininikiyatoa, yananakaya. Wasakaneneyato. Mashikiyate, nonaketi nikoate, amanakachatu. Mutsikidiyata. Broadcast frequency, broadcast love. Pump it out now through the collective. Feel your vibration raising. Mutikay. Atta chikiningiri wata namanaka chocolati notigyo. You are safe. You are not in any danger. We bring peace and love through the collective, helping to harmonize. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We love you so much. Much love.